Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. It's Saturday, the 27th of March, 2021. Some of the important things that happened on this date: in 1836, 417 rebel Texans were executed. This was after the tragedy at the Alamo. Some of the characters are the same. The Santa Anna character, the person, this happened in Golad, Texas, 185 years ago today. And they were told by Sam Houston to get out of town. The Mexican army is going to come around. They took their time for whatever reason. There was a wagon that was in the river, and they took time retrieving it against the protests of the soldiers. They stopped to water the cattle and the horses and feed them. They were low on food themselves. Anyway, it took a long time to get going, and as a result, they were captured by this Santa Anna character, or his subordinates, and they were marched back to the garrison in Golad, where they were executed. They were marched a mile away from the fort and executed. The ones that were injured or sick were executed in their beds, and the leader of that garrison was executed as well. This was the last straw, and Texas soon gained its independence after these two tragic military involvements, if you can call them that. And it just goes to tell you, it just goes to show you, you don't mess with Texas. You don't mess with Texas. That happened in 1836. In 1964, Alaska had the large earthquake, 9.2. 131 people died, thousands were injured, and there was also a tsunami. 9.2 Alaskan earthquake, 1964. In 1973, Marlon Brando refused to accept his Oscar for his acting and his portrayal in the movie The Godfather. The Oscar was received by a Sheehan Littlefeather, and he was protesting the way that the American Indian had been treated in America. So Marlon Brando refuses to accept his Oscar for the part that he played in The Godfather, and that was quite a. In 1977, the largest aviation accident in history happened in the Canary Islands. It was a KLM aircraft 747 and a Pan Am 747. Somebody lit a bomb off someplace, so they had to divert these two large 747s to a small airfield in the Canary Islands. The fog rolled in. They were on hold. The KLM pilot was getting impatient. He went over he was cleared for to get in a takeoff position. He misunderstood the air traffic controller's accent, and he began to take off. Meanwhile, the Pan Am jet 747 was still on the runway. It hadn't cleared the runway yet, and the KLM proceeded to crash right into the Pan Am 747, and it killed 583 people. 583 people. When the planes hit, it became a fireball, and the only survivors were the people that were lucky enough to be sitting in the front portion of the Pan Am 747. Apparently that part of the plane had cleared the runway, and the rest of the fuselage, of course, was in the path of the KLM, and KLM is a Dutch airline. So that was a horrible The Pan Am was taking tourists to a Mediterranean cruise from Los Angeles and New York, and on a charter. And the other aircraft, the KLM, was also a charter. So they were both charters, and it was just human error, impatience, bad weather, fog, and it was just a horrific day in aviation history, and remains today the largest aviation disaster in history. And on a happier note, in 1998, Viagra was born. Viagra was initially a medication for high blood pressure. That's what Viagra was. But they discovered for some reason that the penis became erect with this medication, and the rest is history. Senior citizens all over the world now can enjoy the youth of an abundant sex life. They can enjoy their wives and their girlfriends and their nightlife, just like any young person. So it was quite a breakthrough for senior citizens. People who thought that they had given up on sexual relationships in their life have gained new vigor, strength, and were able to march on to this day. They say that hotel capacity, just because of Viagra, has increased 7 to 10-fold, resulting in over a third of all business in hotel rooms because of the added patronage of senior citizens in the mood to get cheeky with that little blue pill. So it was invented by Peter Dunne and Albert Wood. Isn't that something? Albert Wood. Isn't that kind of a play on words? These two gentlemen are the founders of Viagra, Peter Dunne and Albert Wood. So our hats are off to these fine gentlemen. Also today is Earth Hour. I thought I had something written down here, and of course I don't. I thought I did. It's gone. But today from 8:30 to 9:30 all over the world, lights will be dimmed at the Colosseum in Italy, the Empire State Building, the Taj Mahal, the Eiffel Tower, you name it. If it's a destination, it will be dark for 1 hour. This was started in 2007 by the Wildlife Foundation, I believe the International Wildlife Foundation, to just give us a little push to realize what a great place we have here on Earth, the beautiful little blue planet, and if we can do anything to preserve it, save it, and just be mindful of what we can do. It looks like I'm squatting behind a tree. That's not true. It's the angle. I wanted to show you for Earth Hour some of the beautiful trees. Today is Saturday, and you know what that means. Saturday is Obituary Day, and we have quite an obituary today. Everybody's favorite boxer, marvelous Marvin Hagler, passed away just recently. He was 67. God, I don't know if you can even see me in this video. I'm trying to get in a better angle. I'm teetering precariously right now. So if I just disappear from frame, you'll know what happened. So let me get my glasses out and I'll read this obituary. And it's just fascinating. 1954 to 2021, marvelous Marvin Hagler more than lived up to his nickname. One of the greatest middleweight boxers of all time. He won 62 of 67 matches. 62 of 67. This guy never lost over his 14-year pro career and suffered only one knockout, although Hagler always insisted that he merely slipped. And as undisputed middleweight champ of the world for 7 years in the 1980s, he defeated fierce rivals such as Roberto Duran, Thomas the Hitman Hearns, and John Magumbe, natural southpaw with incredible punching power. Hagler had an almost superhuman ability to absorb an opponent's blows. His 1995 showdown with Hearns in Las Vegas, which lasted less than 8 minutes, is remembered as possibly the finest match in boxing history. Something you want to Google if you're a boxing fan. I'll read that again, which lasted less than 8 minutes, is remembered as possibly the fiercest match in boxing history. The only stopped when Hagler, blood streaming down his face, knocked Hearns to the canvas in the 3rd round. If they cut my bald head open, they will find one big boxing glove, Hagler once said. That's all I am. I live it. One of 6 siblings, born in the poorest area of Newark, New Jersey, Hagler was raised by his mother and his father, walked out on his family, said so-and-so and so-and-so. When their tenement home was wrecked in the Newark's 1967 race riots, the family relocated to Brockton, Massachusetts. Hagler joined a boxing gym there after being roughed up on the street by a local tough guy. His mission was to learn to fight, and he did, winning the U.S. Amateur National title in 1973 before turning pro. Hagler took the long routes to greatness, said the so-and-so and so-and-so, fighting for small purses before winning the middleweight belt from Alan Minter in London in 1980. He soon added Marvelous to his legal name to make sure ring announcers used his nickname when introducing him to the crowd. That's a smart move. Make it your real name. Then they gotta say it. They gotta say it. And defended his title 12 times before losing it to Sugar Ray Leonard in 1987 in a controversial split decision. And the last paragraph. Furious, Hagler retired from boxing and moved to Milan, Italy, with dreams of becoming an actor, said so-and-so and so-and-so. He won bad guy roles in Italian action movies and was happy to have left the ring with his health and his memories intact. Very smart gentleman indeed. He got out before any damage to his health, and that's not always the case, as we know, with professional athletes. And was happy he left the ring with his health and memories intact. And thanks to his careful management, some $40 million in the bank. So this is a boxer, a success story, someone who knew when it was time to leave, saved his money, his reserve, invested well, and didn't wind up broke. So our hats are off to Marvelous Marvin Hagler in the bank. I saw Joe Louis at the door at Caesar's Palace, just shaking hands. He says, and that left a bad taste in his mouth. It left a bad taste in his mouth. And Hagler said in 1990, that keeps me moving. So what a wonderful career, a wonderful person. Our hats are off to Marvelous Marvin Hagler. And our hats are off to all the Texans that finally had enough of Mexico's occupation of Texas, per se, and some of the things that they did, and it was just enough was enough. So that's some of the things that happened today. I'm going to continue. If you noticed, I'm wearing my JCPenney shirt. I did find a JCPenney, but I didn't have the receipt, and they would not accept the shirt back, so I'll have to live with it. And I think that's all for today. I hope this wasn't a long presentation, a blog. And I'm going to get up now, and I'm going to come around and shut the camera off. And I hope you have the rest of the good Saturday. And let me just try to, I'm in a very precarious position. I'm going to use my, I'm going to put this away first, and then I'm going to grab with my right and my left hand the trunks of these trees, and I'm going to pull myself up. There I am. And I'm going to move over, and I'm going to coming around, coming around and shut the camera off, or the iPhone 12 Max Pro. There it is, I'm in position, and there it is. I'm gonna lean over and hit that square, that red square, and that'll stop the video.